Thank you very much, Jake. This is Community Comment on a Monday morning. We're very pleased to have Washington County Executive, I'll try that again, Washington County Executive Josh Schoeman with us today in the studio. We usually talk to you on the phone, so it's nice to have you here in Beaver Dam. Welcome.
Yeah, wonderful to be here in person. Nice to do things in person.
It certainly is. It certainly is. Well, first of all, I know you want to talk about an important piece of infrastructure in your county that was damaged in the historic flooding and storms in August. I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, those floods were devastating to a lot of people in West Bend in particular, but also in some of our more rural areas. Just a quick reminder to anybody listening, if you qualify for FEMA assistance from those floods, the deadline for applications for residential properties is November 12th. So, make sure to get that information in. You can go to our website, washcowisco.gov, for more information. But some of the rural areas, as you mentioned, in the town of Farmington, which is northeastern Washington County, there was a rural bridge that was actually only about 3 or 4 years old and had some really massive flooding, completely washed out the abutment, or kind of the wall of the bridge on the north side of the road. Shifted the bridge itself, and the bridge deck was about lifted an inch off of where the road meets it on the south side. And I'm excited to report that we have been working our tails off to get that replaced, and we are on track to have it completely replaced by December. So a 4-month turnaround on a bridge is lightning speed. As you can imagine, just the construction work and all the concrete work in and of itself is probably 30 to 60 days of work. But to go from August 11th of those torrential floods to maybe the middle of December, certainly before Christmas, and have it replaced is absolutely a miracle. I've got to give major credit to our highway commissioner, Scott Schmidt, and the chairman of the town of Farmington, who've done fabulous work. Doug Newman, I should mention, the chairman there. They've just done fabulous work collaborating with one another, putting a plan together that not only we can get this work completed, but also collaborate with the DNR, which sometimes is a challenge. So very excited for the people of Farmington to be able to get that accomplished in good order.
How big of an inconvenience has it been to not have that bridge serving the community?
Yeah, it's a pain. Chairman Newman talked at length about this in an interview last week. Fortunately, it's not in a big city, so that helps, but it certainly requires a lot of rerouting for school buses and trash pickup and things of that nature. And, people who want to go north have to go south, and people who want to go south have to go north. So it is inconvenience for sure. Could have definitely been worse if it were in a more urban type area, but we're fortunate and thankful that we're able to get it replaced for those that it does impact.
You mentioned the FEMA deadline for individuals and businesses that could use some help. Is this roughly a month enough time to kind of put together an application, or is it starting to get kind of, up against it?
I certainly wouldn't wait. If you've got receipts and you've got the materials you need, get that submitted as soon as possible. Certainly, there's a deadline for a reason, but it's been a few months now. I think that application's been open for almost a month, maybe just a little shy of that. So I would encourage anybody, don't wait till the last minute. It's never a good thing to wait that long, but get that information in as soon as you can.
We'll pivot just a little bit now. Another thing that we talked about this last time you were here, the update on the former UW Washington County campus.
Yeah.
I think since we spoke, there is a buyer, and that is the Ozaki County Christian School.
Yeah, that's right. So Ozaki Christian is purchasing the building and about 20 acres surrounding it. It's an 80-acre campus and a 200,000 square foot facility, so it's a lot. But we are now kind of working through all of the legalese and the paperwork, if you will. The city of West Bend and Washington County own it together. So we have to kind of work through some of the easement transfers and the right-of-way transfers. There's a water tower on the property. There's an easement or a driveway, I guess, that goes to a city park. So we're trying to navigate those things and then transfer ownership entirely over to the county so that we're able to negotiate directly with Ozaki Christian. The balance of the property, mostly kettle moraine and geographical and geological gems, is going to be purchased by Cedar Lake Conservation Foundation. So there's two buyers actually, and so we've got a little bit of navigating to do here with four organizations, but I'm excited and anticipate that we'll have that closed by the end of the year as well.
When can the school move in and start running there?
I think if we can get things closed by the end of the year, their plans, they've indicated to me, would be to get some remodeling accomplished here in the first half of 2026. And then that would allow for them to open in the fall of 2026. So, it seems like, that's a long way away, but the reality is, projects take time. And so really the fall of 26 is just around the corner. So we're excited to help facilitate this process and expedite it and have some good quality use of that building again by next fall.
How important is it to people in West Bend and throughout Washington County to have that building used, to have tenants, to have part of that land sold off, than it would be if you were still, sitting on it with nothing going on?
Yeah, I think you framed the question the right way. I think it is very much a West Bend issue. It's not that people out county don't care, but it just isn't something that's top of mind for them. So I do think this is predominantly a West Bend issue. But I look around at counties aside from us that have similar circumstances. Largely what you're seeing is complete reuses. Waukesha County, for example, is tearing down their facility and redeveloping. So I do think it's important to at least have some semblance of continuation of the education purpose that it was originally designed for. We heard that loudly and clearly from constituents throughout Washington County that they wanted that community asset access to it. Certainly having a private school will be different than the UW system being in there, but nonetheless, I think Ozaki Christian has shown over years that they are a good community partner, and I expect that to continue in a new and improved way.
You're right in the middle of your budget deliberations right now. There should be a vote next month, and as it's, I think one thing that's noteworthy is that Washington County is the only county in Wisconsin that does your budget every 2 years instead of every year.
Yeah, it is. We started that. I believe this is our third, but it might be our second biennial budget. The state legislature passed a bill not terribly long ago that we advocated for, allowing for that. And it's great because it allows us to do this heavy lift of the budget. But then next year, instead of going through all of the procedure again, we actually spend our time focusing on services, which, that's why government exists to begin with, is to serve the people, not serve itself. And oftentimes budgets become self-serving exercises. So, but this budget was particularly challenging. I would say the most challenging in about a decade. You're seeing similar things in counties all across the state. I think Dane County announced last week that they are, the county executive there is proposing a hiring freeze, along with some other, I believe, furloughs and things like that. Milwaukee County's got its own challenges that they're going through. I've had friends out in as far out west as Monroe County talking about some pretty substantial cuts that they're looking at. Juneau County as well. So I think in Juneau County, the sheriff's talking about plowing snow. Things are so tight up there. So, it's been a challenging budget for us. We walked in with about a $3 million gap. I mean, typically, just costs to continue, just like running a business or a home, costs go up for utilities and benefits and so forth. But this one, there was some extra increases with contract costs due to the inflation in the last 4 years and a few other items. But it has made decision making especially difficult. The county board will take up the budget here now in the next few weeks. Executive committee, I think next week, and then or maybe it's this week already, and then county board in early November. We've got some tough decisions to make, but ultimately, at the end of the day, the people of Washington County are first and foremost, and I'm very concerned about making sure that we don't pass on major cost increases to them because they just can't take it right now. It's, the number one issue I hear about when I'm out on the trail is affordability, and we certainly don't want to add to that challenge right now.
Our guest is Washington County Executive Josh Schoeman. We need to take a break right now, but we'll be right back. You're listening to Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Find contest rules.
WBEV. Here's Terry Bell with more.
Thank you very much, Jake. Our guest today is Washington County Executive Josh Schoeman. If you have a question or a comment, you can be a part of the program. You can call us or text us at 920-887-8585 or call our studio line at 885-4446. We were just talking about the budget now. Tax bills will be going out, and I think I remember you telling me once that we're looking at some of the smallest rate increases since World War One.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Good memory. Yeah. So Washington County, our county portion of our tax bill, the tax rate itself will be the lowest since before World War I again, and it's dropping significantly. So when I started with the county in 2013, it was about $2.88. $2.88 a thousand. This budget I've proposed, it'll be $1.40. So a pretty substantial decrease. That's a combination of we've had a fair amount of economic growth in Washington County in that time, and we've held the line flat on property taxes in that time. Actually, the property tax collection for 2026 is lower than it was when I was first elected county executive in 2020, and lower than it was in 2008 before the Great Recession. So all good news for property taxpayers. Maybe the not so good news for property taxpayers is really other taxing jurisdictions, specifically school districts, and really no criticism necessarily of school districts other than the way that the funding formula works, which is really out of their control. But the long story short is the state budget that was passed codified the veto that Governor Evers executed last budget cycle. So you might remember all the talk about a 402-year veto, permanent property tax increase. Well, that was codified in this current budget. And so it basically authorizes more per pupil funding aid, but it'll all come from the property tax side. So school districts basically have one choice if they're going to increase their budgets. And of course, like everybody, their costs are going up, so likely they will. And it likely will result in precipitous increases in tax bills for the school side. And of course, school tax bills or school portion of the tax bill is generally the largest portion.
Was that that codification of that veto, was that part of the reason why that went into your feeling about wanting to keep the county tax rate so low? In some sort of attempt to maybe balance things out a bit, especially for people who live in any school district, I suppose, in Washington County.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. From a taxpayer perspective, you get that tax bill in mid-December and you think, those idiots look at this big increase, but the reality is it's generally 4 or 5 or sometimes 6 different entities on that tax bill that don't talk to each other. And that has been the case forever and ever and ever. And so one of the things that I've done in Washington County is started conversations amongst all of the elected officials. So at least we know what one another is doing. What I saw when we started those conversations was school districts were going to have these increases, as I just illustrated, and at least on the county side, we could hold the line and hopefully give a little bit of relief. As I mentioned in the earlier segment, it's the number one issue I hear from people that affordability is just so difficult right now in the kind of the aftershock of inflation and things like that. So, we certainly don't want to be part of the problem. We want to be part of the solution. And I implore our county board to adopt the budget I've proposed because it does exactly that. At least a little bit of relief when maybe the rest of the entities will have some increases.
Since last we spoke, you delivered the state of the county address. So
Yeah.
I guess I'll just ask you straightforward, what is the state of Washington County?
We're absolutely thriving. I think things are. We're blessed to live in such a wonderful place with great neighbors, and we've had our challenges, no doubt, like every county does. But the progress that we're making on home affordability for the next generation, the same kind of progress we're making with talking with our fire and EMS chiefs about sustainability of their profession, and most importantly, the critical services that they provide, I think just goes to show people in Washington County are willing to work together for the best of one another, and what more could you ask for?
Absolutely. Let's see. The Village of Jackson Fire Department across let's see. I'm looking at my notes here.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of deciphering them out loud. But that you gave it at the Jackson Fire Department. I see. Why was that an important place? I think you touched on it, but why was it important to deliver it there?
Well, the volunteer fire is such an important component of not just Washington County, but I would say community history across Wisconsin. It's such a rich tradition. Jackson is one of those places that has a really beautiful firehouse, and we actually have a young family that is participating in both our Next Generation Housing Initiative and our Heart and Homestead Down Payment Incentive Initiative, and within 1 year completely earned back their down payment incentive. one of the ways was by volunteering for the volunteer fire company. So it's an outstanding opportunity to highlight the great work that Jackson Fire Department does, to also highlight the importance of giving back to your community and the programs that are helping facilitate it.
Josh Schoeman is Washington County Executive, and we appreciate you coming over to Beaver Dam today to come talk to us. It was good to see you.
Always good to be here. God bless everybody this week.
You're listening to Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge. Time for the news. We'll be right back.
is brought to you in part by McKinstry's Home Furnishings. They are in downtown Beaver Dam on Front Street under the red awning, celebrating their 167-year anniversary. They have picture framing services. McKinstry's Home Furnishings stocks a large selection of picture frame moldings and conservation mattings and glass. This ensures prompt and proper professional framing of your needlework, family photos, wedding pictures, oil paintings, wildlife prints, and award certificates. They've even framed a guitar. Best of all, you'll be amazed at the low everyday prices. Let McKinstry's sales designers help you select just the right frame and matting to enhance the beauty of your artwork as well as your home. Take your frameable pieces to McKinstry's Home Furnishings. You'll be very happy you did. And now, without further ado, we will send it back to Terry Bell for more of today's community comment.
Thank you very much, Jake. We're thank very much Washington County Executive Josh Schoeman for joining us on the first half of the show. For the rest of the program, we are pleased to welcome Congressman Glenn Grothman to Community Comment. Congressman, welcome to the show.
Glad to be on the show.
Very good. I know there's a lot to talk about when it comes to the government shutdown, but since the big story today is about the peace agreement between Israel and Hamas, I was interested in knowing your thoughts on that development.
Well, I'm very glad the hostages have been released. I was a little bit worried because you're not dealing with the most ethical people. I was a little bit worried that they wouldn't be released, but they are released, which is a great thing. It's unfortunate that some of the bodies of the deceased have not been released. It sounds like the Israeli government is saying that maybe they'll be difficult to get a hold of, or people don't know where they are. Nevertheless, it's a successful thing. It's unfortunate Israel had to give up 1,700 of the Hamas fighters to get back these 20 hostages, which in a normal civilized country would never be taken in the first place. Nevertheless, it is a time for rejoicing and a time for to praise the can-do attitude of President Trump.
Absolutely. Where do we go forward now? I mean, how do we make sure that this peace is a lasting peace?
Well, it sounds like the people are on board, right? Very positive things said by the leader of Egypt. At least I saw on TV last night the people in Gaza going back to their homes, praising President Trump, which is not something you'd normally see. You saw potentially positive remarks from the new head of Syria. Syria has been an adversary of Israel for my entire lifetime. They had a war in 1967. So I think outside of Iran, I think we're closer to an ongoing peace than ever. And I think, again, part of that is President Trump just turning over a new leaf is the way you look at things over there. He's perceived to be a different sort of guy. He's not afraid to meet with people who are traditionally our enemies, heads of North Korea, Vladimir Putin, what have you. So hopefully this signals not only a new era of peace in the Arabian Peninsula, but hopefully a new era of peace around the world.
Let's talk about the government shutdown now. It's been several days now, and shutdowns in recent history have been somewhat, brief affairs. This one sees no signs of letting up.
Well, first of all, normally it is automatic to do what we call a continuing resolution and keep the government open while the parties negotiate. I don't know, there's been time since I've been in Washington in which we pass the annual budget on time. This is the budget or the appropriation bills for the year beginning October 1st, and normally Congress, both houses, without a lot of controversy, pass a resolution saying, let's keep spending at last year's levels until we wrap this thing up. This is somewhat unheard of, that one side would say, we want to negotiate. And, of course, this is, over $1 trillion here with hundreds of different line items to be negotiated. Well, let's not keep the government open while we negotiate. That is the norm. All the senators know it's the norm. We believe the problem is just in the leading Senate Democrat who is worried about a primary, worried about a more radical Democrat saying, we don't want anybody negotiating with President Trump. And that's ridiculous. He's our president. We kept the government open, though I personally felt Joe Biden was one of the worst presidents in our country's history. I had no problem keeping the government open while he negotiated, and the Democrats negotiated with our side. So it's kind of hard to get used to this idea that we're going to shut down the government while we negotiate.
We're talking, I'm sorry, we're talking to Congressman Glenn Grothman, and if you would like to join the conversation, we invite you to call or text 920-887-8585, or you can call us at our studio line at 885-4446. I apologize, Congressman, I interrupted you.
Well, it's just kind of a different thing. We believe the problem is there's going to be a big demonstration in Washington next weekend, an anti-Trump demonstration. There could be tens of thousands of people there, and we believe the Democrats who want to keep the government open could face a primary opponent, say, from the radical Democrats who are going to be in town next weekend. So we don't anticipate it ending until after this weekend. I hope the Democrat Party, the Democrat senators, are not permanently so angry that they will not negotiate with President Trump. But that's what's going on now, because President Trump is trying to keep the government open. They just say President Trump says open, we're going to say closed, and you cannot be held hostage to the most extreme wing of your party, but that's what's going on.
Regardless of all of that, what is going to happen is that millions of people are going to see their health insurance premiums spike, and in many cases dramatically for next year. Is there anything that can be, will that be the thing that gets people back to the table?
Well, we've already passed our bill, and I think that should be enough for the Senate Democrats to eventually vote to keep the government open and vote to keep these subsidies going. So I would hope that's what's going to happen. And as you know, I think when negotiations take place, I think it's something that's going to be addressed.
We are talking with Congressman Glenn Grothman, and if you would like to join the conversation, we invite you to do so. The phone number and the talk and text line is 920-887-8585, and our studio line is 885-4446. We're going to take a break here, but be right back. You are listening to Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Save big money at Menards and stock up on your favorite Procter.
920-887-8585, or call our studio line at 885-4446. Helps to get the right numbers out there. Congressman, I don't believe we've had a chance to talk since the big, beautiful bill passed. And can you get us a status update on that?
I was a little disappointed in that, we are so broke in this country. We are digging ourselves in debt more every day. And while I voted for the bill because it had to pass, I hope I got commitments out of the Trump administration on working on two things going forward. One, as you know, I've always been very concerned about our welfare system, and that it seems to discourage people getting married, encourage people raising a child without both parents in the home. We'd like to change some of these formulas. America went from a time in the early 60s in which 5% of the children were born without both parents at home till today over 40%. I think you would say the biggest change in America from, say, 1960 to 2020 is the reduction in the number of parents without both children at home. I'd like to see that addressed. The second thing is there's a program called the Low-Income Housing Tax Credit Program, which purports, it sounds nice, like we're providing housing that's affordable, but actually the major beneficiary is the property developers. We have no business creating such a public-private partnership, and the property developers are getting wildly rich. Actually, there have been people become billionaires off this program. I think it's an embarrassment. The Republicans actually expanded it. I hope it's something that we can get rid of and save some money. And finally, we passed the Defense Authorization Act. And right now we have over 750,000 employees in the Department of Defense who are not uniformed. They're not prepared to help our military fight. They're rather than carrying a weapon, they're carrying a laptop. And that's just way too many. We all know it. Doge pointed it out. But again, for whatever reason, the Republicans on the Armed Services Committee would not, in my mind, do their job. And they got rid of very few of these people. We are, again, so broke, and I think they could have gotten rid of another, 200,000 to 300,000. So I got a commitment from the Department of Defense that they will look into that. But I voted for both those things because they had to pass. They were maybe better than current law, but they could have been a lot better, and I was very disappointed the Republicans continue to be, I would argue, fiscally irresponsible.
Going back to the government shutdown, and I guess, how does that affect your work? Are you back in the district now? Is there anything you are able to do, even though most of the government is at a standstill at this point?
Well, we consider our office necessary. I mean, we're helping people with passports, helping people negotiate with the VA. So my office in Fond du Lac is in. I plan on going out to Washington later this week. Very few congressmen are going out there, but I am preparing for the time we do get back together and begin to negotiate a settlement. I'm a little bit afraid the Republican leadership will agree to increase spending to make the Democrats happy, but they won't do anything to decrease spending. And as I just mentioned, I gave 3 examples where unquestionably we ought to reduce spending, but I want to be prepared for when those negotiations happen.
I also understand, correct me if I'm wrong, during the time of the shutdown, you'll be foregoing your salary?
Well, yeah, but we'll, just like all the federal employees, we'll get caught up, right? I mean, I'm not living paycheck to paycheck, so it's not that much of a sacrifice. But, right, I will not get paid when my next paycheck is due.
Mm-hmm. And I think you feel that, tell us some of the reason behind that, why you feel that's an important stand to take.
Well, it's important to do it just because all the other federal employees aren't getting their paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're not getting it, I shouldn't get it. I think certainly is the least Congress could do. I think there's some congressmen who are getting their paycheck, and it seems to me, well, we are at an impasse. What we're causing collectively, say the military, not to get their paycheck, Sorry. We're
Anyway, I'll let you clear your throat, but yes, you're saying that
we should be in the same boat as the federal employees.
absolutely, absolutely. What kind of accessibility, what kind of availability will you have to your constituents in the days and weeks ahead?
We're open. If you want to set up an appointment to meet with me in Fond du Lac, that's fine. If you want to give me a call, hopefully we can set up a time just to talk on the phone as well.
Okay. We have a few more minutes, Congressman. Is there anything else you think it's important for our listeners to know?
Well, I think just familiarize yourself a little bit more with the federal budget. We're very in debt. Remember, when you look at your congressmen or look at the senators or look what's going on in Washington, remember, we're right now borrowing 26% of what we spend. That's preposterous. Think about every Social Security check, every Medicare reimbursement, anything coming out of Washington, 26% is borrowed. So we still get requests to make sure we keep spending levels high or to come up with new programs. I think any congressman who at this time is wanting new programs or expanding old programs is just being totally irresponsible. But if you're ever talking to your friends out there and they say we should be spending more here or why isn't any more there, we're borrowing 26% of our budget.
Very good. We had Washington County Executive Josh Schoeman on the program earlier, and we were talking about the upcoming deadline for people who are affected by those historic floods in southeast Wisconsin in August, and there's still time. I was just curious to know what help, if any, your office can extend people who are still thinking of putting together an application.
Well, we'll be happy to help you, and just give a call to my my office, like I said, in Fond du Lac. Anything along those lines, flood related, you can give them a call, see what we can do, and everything else. I frequently run into people, and they are, in my mind, not taking advantage of the services that we have. So I'm going to give you the number. It's 920-907-0624, 920-907-0624. Not only if there are things you haven't dealt with on the flood, but we can be very helpful with visas, with passports, and we do a lot of help with the VA, too. We have a great staff in dealing with the VA, so don't be afraid to give me a call. I do try to get out and about around the district as much as I can, and it does always surprise me how it doesn't occur to people to call their congressman. Don't be afraid to call me.
Very good. And on that, we want to thank you for your time. It's been time well spent. Congressman Glenn Grothman, thanks for being with us today.
Hope to be on the show again sometime in the near future. Thank you.
That would be terrific. Thank you very much. And you've been listening to Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Looking for a better night's sleep with a mattress made right here in Wisconsin? McKinstry's Home Furnishings